All right then, let's jump straight into this one. And before we begin, you know the drill. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and join the community here on UK Now. Because today, we're stepping right into a committee room in Westminster, where MPs have been grilling officials about asylum hotels. And trust me, the details are more shocking than you might expect. So there we are, in the thick of a rather dry-looking committee hearing. Papers stacked on the table, glasses of water half empty, and officials doing their best impression of people who'd rather be anywhere else. But then comes the question that gets right to the heart of the matter. How much of this asylum accommodation system is actually being run by subcontractors? The official hesitates, shuffles the papers, and admits, well, pretty much the whole lot. Almost all of it is subcontracted. The big companies we call prime contractors, they don't actually do most of the work themselves. They just sit at the top, pocket the cash, and pass it all down. Lovely, isn't it? And here's the kicker. These contracts aren't just about beds. They include security, catering, even transport. Imagine the scale. Millions of pounds flowing through layers of private firms, all managing a system that frankly doesn't seem very well managed at all. You start to see why tempers are fraying. Now, one MP raises the case of State Belvedere. Sounds like a dodgy nightclub, doesn't it? Turns out, when one of these subcontractors gets the boot, the government doesn't shut the hotel. Oh no, they just carry on with the same building, same beds, same everything, but with a new name on the contract. It's like rebranding a bad takeaway and hoping no one notices it's the same soggy chips. Then comes the real gem. How often do ministers actually check in on all this? Daily? Weekly? Monthly? Well, the answer's a bit of a muddle. There's a dashboard somewhere that counts spare beds and arrivals, but the officials admit they only really sit down properly once a month with a big quarterly review to tick the boxes. Not exactly the hawk-eyed oversight you might hope for when billions of taxpayer pounds are involved. And then we get to the hot potato, asylum hotels themselves. The government insists they're desperate to get out of them. After all, hotels cost a fortune, £500 million saved already, they claim, by trying to wind them down. But here's the problem. These providers actually make more money when hotels are used. Think about that. The government says, we don't want hotels, but the companies running the show say, oh, but hotels are great for business. That's a bit like asking a fox to guard your chicken coop and hoping it'll lose interest. Now, the officials stress, don't worry, we're in charge, not the providers, but MPs aren't convinced. And honestly, can you blame them? If you were running one of these companies, would you be rushing to shut down your most profitable income stream? At this point, I want to bring you into the room. Imagine you're on that committee. What question would you be firing at these officials? Would you press them on the money, on the chaos, or on why one of these company bosses has made it onto the Sunday Times rich list off the back of taxpayers' cash? Yes, you heard me. While ordinary families are struggling with bills, someone's pocketed enough from asylum contracts to join Britain's richest. Doesn't that make your blood boil just a little? And to make it worse, some of this money isn't even from the Home Office pot. It's classified as overseas development aid. That's right, the very funds Britain promises to help the poorest people abroad, redirected into paying hotel bills here. Riots, rising profits, and taxpayers left picking up the tab. The MPs press on. What about the break clause in these contracts coming up next year? Could the government finally cut ties and rebuild the system? The officials mutter about pilots, about exploring options, about saving more money. But as ever, the answers are vague. The big picture remains. Billions spent, little to show for it, and the whole system seemingly stuck in a loop. And here's where I want your voice. Do you think this is sheer incompetence, or is it baked into the system, with private profit always put ahead of public good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them.